I was offered this camera earlier this week because it was broken and hasn't been used for quite a few years. And the only thing better than free stuff is free stuff that I get to take apart and fix. The first and biggest problem this camera had is a piece of fabric that hangs down and protects the film from light when you're not taking a picture. In normal operation, this piece of fabric is grabbed by the mirror and lifted out of the way, but for some reason it was only being grabbed on one side, as you can see in these high-speed videos. But what I noticed is if the camera was leaning forward, like in this shot, the piece of fabric would be grabbed properly and pulled out of the way. This turned out to be pretty easy to fix. I put the camera forward and set the shutter to bulb mode so that as long as I hold down the trigger, I could get my hands inside, and I just added a little crease in that piece of fabric right there so that it was caught every time by that rectangular bar on the back of the mirror. Now, regardless of the orientation, if the camera is pointed forwards or backwards, the mirror always pulls that piece of fabric out of the way, and the exposures don't have a weird shadow on the top third. The other problem this camera had was with the meter, which is the thin needle on the right hand side. When it operates normally, the needle moves up and down, and you have to adjust the settings of the camera to make the circle line up with the needle. All that had happened is that the needle got stuck to the little rubber bumper that it rests against when the camera is turned off. This is the normal operation of the meter after I fix the needle. Here I'm turning the ring that controls the aperture, and it moves that little circle. To know that you're getting a correct exposure, you're trying to get that circle to line up with the needle. There's a little prism and mirror that allows you to see the ring on the lens that tells you what your aperture is set to, and along the bottom there's a little display that shows you what your shutter speed is. Changing both of these moves that circle up and down and lets you get proper exposure. Along with the camera, I also got a 100 to 200 telephoto lens that came with a 2x match multiplier, along with an $8 adapter I got to fit my Sony NAX video camera. I can now get some pretty amazing results with this old lens. So here's the 100-200 lens with the multiplier, and it's focused as close as it'll go, which is about 27 inches. And you can see it's a pretty clear image. This will be good for macro photography. Here's the same match in the same spot with the camera in the same position, but this time with my 18 to 200 lens that came with the Sony video camera. Even though that old Minolta lens is completely manual, it doesn't have autofocus of any kind, I'm going to keep it in my backpack because it produces some pretty clear videos and pictures.